Welcome everyone to our weekly HDI local chapters live stream show. And I was going to say our tax day eve show, but as our chatters in the pre-shows told us, it's not till May. But if you don't set me a deadline, I would just totally miss it. So I have to be told still April 15th so I can at least make it by the May deadline. All right, so let's talk about our show. First of all, I want to talk about our sponsor, Robert Half Technology. They help companies build, deploy, and operate technology in the digital world, and they do it by placing highly skilled IT professionals on a contract or a project or full-time basis. You can browse available candidates, you can search for jobs, and you can access additional valuable information on hiring and career insights online at Robert Half Technology, roberthalf.com/technology, I should say. All right, so let's get started. So today, our guest is Amy Eernise-Liang. I think I got that right, Amy. Amy has over 14 years of nonprofit experience in various capacities, but has taken a special interest in technology-focused workforce programming over the last 8 years. In her latest or current role with CompTIA Tech Career Academy, she spends her days helping aspiring technologists launch their careers by connecting them with meaningful employment. All right, so here's the, also I've got to mention, this is the second week in a row we've had somebody from Oregon. Amy also serves on the board for the Oregon Southwest Washington HDI local chapter. Now, here's what I like pretty cool. When she's not playing IT career matchmaker, Amy spends as much time as possible adventuring in the outdoors with her favorite little sidekick, Scooter the pug. Welcome to the show, Amy.
Thank you, Tom. It's great to be here. And you forgot to mention that I run away from bears with my pug Scooter.
Well, I hope Scooter can run faster than you. You've got a problem because the bear's not going to eat Scooter, right?
Pretty even. It's pretty even.
So today we're gonna talk about some things, but first thing I got to ask you is when I said the introducing you, I was thinking about Fiddler on the Roof. So tell me, what is an IT career matchmaker? Tell us a little bit more about that.
All right. Well, I kind of just came up with it when we were talking about a week ago, although I've been thinking about using that on my LinkedIn profile. And kind of where it comes from some personal things I've done back in the day where I used to be a bit of a matchmaker in a lot of different ways. I've actually introduced three friends to spouses. So I always considered myself a connector. And then I ended up working in this really small technology focused nonprofit back in San Diego, I think in 2013, if I can remember correctly. And I actually worked on a very similar program to what I'm doing right now with CompTIA Tech Career Academy, where I, worked with emerging technologists, people that were, a lot of young adults who were wanting to get into tech career pathways. And I created this kind of great group of IT folks and IT mentors who, I would connect students with these IT folks. They would hire them. And then I had one in particular, a CEO from this life sciences company who every time he needed to hire someone, he would ask me like who I knew. And so I would just, connect him with different people, whether they be my friends. I just had this kind of strange following and like group of IT people that I hung out with down there. And I was not an IT person. Like I've always been kind of the furthest from that. I was a literature major. So I was always a bit of a Luddite. But when I got into this little community, I started to like really love hanging out with IT people. And then I saw this job with CompTIA a few years later, and I was like, oh my goodness, CompTIA, like I know what CompTIA is. And I applied for it because it was very similar. And now, that's all I do really is work with employers and work with students and try to figure out like which student, could work with this employer. So, it really boils down to kind of creating those career matches for students and employers. So
just to tell you, Kirsten had to say literature majors are the best after language majors, because we talked about last week, she was a language major, like German and such. And so, but it's pretty cool you said that, because I was thinking about matchmaker, but I loved what you said about matching them not only for jobs, but for mentoring, because, I talk a lot about that when I do presentations and speeches about, you have to have mentors. And so to have somebody like you that has those connections, that is the ultimate, being able to do the matchmaking. So you talked about future technologists. Tell us a little bit about like what you mean by future technology. You're not talking about somebody that has an IT degree necessarily or 10 years of experience. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about so many different people. What I do with CompTIA Tech Career Academy. So our goal really is to get people into on-ramps into IT careers. And we're really big on, diversifying the tech industry. And we work, mostly what we do is train people who have no prior IT experience. On occasion, I think, most of the students I've worked with have been in like the Portland, Oregon area. And, I've worked with probably around 300 alumni. And of those 300, I would say maybe 10 of them have had IT experience, or maybe, a few of them have maybe started an associate's degree in information, management, or like a computer science. A few of them were aspiring like software engineers or whatever. But I think for the most part, our students kind of like were across the board. We had people, and I know we're kind of well, again, this is going wherever it wants to go,
That's
right?
Right. Yeah.
We have people from so many different walks of life, so many different backgrounds. We have career changers. We have, technology, like new technologists, people that, maybe have just been building computers their whole lives and, they just love technology, but they just don't know how to get into this type of a career. We have, people coming from like, the service industry. We have a ton of like bartenders who have gone through a program, and servers in the restaurant industry, people in retail. We have people who have done manual labor. We have some salespeople, some caretakers, like across the board.
Yeah.
Name it, we've worked with them.
Yeah. Too much too said former teachers. And I'll tell you, I share with you, like when I've done some hiring, I remember I hired a kid that was trying to get into the IT field, and he basically was delivering pizzas and making pizzas for a local shop and just wanted a shot. And so I gave it to him, and he has to be one of the best techs I've ever hired. And then we have a guy right now, and because it's where I currently work, I won't mention his name. Awesome guy, but he worked at a head trauma hospital as a nurse's assistant, nothing to do with IT. He took a couple classes at the community college and applied for the job. And I'm telling you, this guy just rocks it. I mean, he is, matter of fact, he works on our help desk. And as soon as I get past this COVID hiring freeze, I'm moving him over to desktop support because he's just worked so hard at it. So yeah, it's really great. So go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask you a question.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I love you. So what is it about though? Because I mean, we have, there's like certain, I think, personality traits and attributes that, I think kind of tie all these folks together. And I was kind of curious to see, what you see in some of those kind of traditional people that you've hired.
Yeah, good. And I'll have to tell you, the other group of people I find a lot in IT that I hire is musicians. Like, and I think like, so the guy that was at the hospital, he worked on life and death. So as we say in our field, nobody's going to die on my watch if a computer goes down or something. Literally, this guy's dealt with it. So for him, it was like, he doesn't get stressed out. And we have some pretty high profile, famous and self-important people that we support. He just handles it like nothing. And like the musicians, they're just laid back. They just don't get overwhelmed. I don't know. It just, and really what I liked about all the ones that I hired that were maybe not in the technology field prior was their customer, the way they just got along, their personality. They were warm, they were friendly, they weren't like robotic. And because they have been they've been on the other side of the fence, the customer side. They can speak customerese and not IT geek speak and be able to be like a translator. So they could be the IT translator instead of the matchmaker. So a lot of good people out of that.
Yeah, I know. I think one of the things, because I used to interview students for our programs back when I first started. And I think one of the things that really sticks out to me in the students that have been really successful is students who, like, when you ask them why they're doing this, like, why do they want to get into IT? And so many of them would say, I like to help people. I just really like helping people. And so when I hear that, I'm just like, it warms my heart, because I'm like, you're going to do awesome. And obviously these students are super dedicated and working hard, especially because a lot of them don't have any background. So they have to go the extra mile to kind of understand all these concepts and things that, they're studying in the program. But I think that right there, it's like, Ben Brennan, I think, like, in his book, Badass IT Sport, I love the whole mentality that this is the service industry,
Yeah.
Super meaningful. So
we have to give a shout out to Ben there, since you mentioned his book. See there, if we're not talking, good book.
I have started reading it.
Oh,
thanks,
yeah.
Ben.
So yeah, I think what I really like about hiring people, like students coming out of college, because my son is in his last semester, and I told him, one of the things I like about hiring the young folks, the people coming out of college with little to no experiences, they're untainted in they're willing to say, like, well, a lot of my folks go, we can't do that. That's impossible. They don't know impossible. They just know, hey, can we try? So that is really, really awesome. So we're not out of time, but we're getting down there. And I got to ask you this, since you're talking a lot about you hit our target audience. Really, this is what we really wanted to hear. So I got to ask you, you're talking about bringing in people out of school, out of college, no career, no IT background. What are some of the barriers that these people see trying to get into the IT field as a career?
Yeah, I mean, so I think one of the main things is just like a lack of confidence. I think when people don't have that experience, it would be as if, like, we try to apply to some job that we've never worked in before. And so I think just learning how to translate and transfer kind of some of their customer service stuff over to these new roles. And then also just any of the hobbyist stuff they've done, maybe they're the go-to computer person at home. But I also think, the whole idea of, like, having to have, a lot of these like entry-level job descriptions still say they want someone who has a 4-year degree or has all these years of experience, and, for a job that these students can do and have proven that they can do really well. And so I think, that also creates that, that lack of in even wanting to apply for some of these roles. And so, that's where I think I come in, because in my team, because we develop these great relationships with employers, and then they start giving these students a chance, and they're like, whoa, like, where did these students come from?
Yeah.
And now they come to me directly. I mean, I have points where I don't have students to send because I'm like, they're working.
So. And I'll tell you this, you mentioned like servers and bartenders and waiters. Let me tell you something. Not only do they have great customer service skills, but if they can memorize the menu and all the options and the different things, they can learn technology. They've got the personality, the friendliness. They can.
Yeah. You can teach them tech. You can't teach them the soft skills.
No. And here's something else I would share with those folks. Like, I remember I was probably 8 years into my technical career, and I applied for a job as a director of technology at a local community college. And I was scared to death to even apply. And I've been doing this for 10 years and supervising, but the job description was just like, whoa. Yeah. I got it with the recruiter. They called me and they told me about this job, and I said, no way. I said, I'll apply for it, but they're not going to. I went to the interview. I knew half the questions because it was like only half the part. They offered me the job that night. So it's not impossible. It's the personality and all of that, the whole package. So, and
the coaching and mentoring and love getting our employers involved, because they do mock interviews and they talk to the students, and, we'll just network with them and kind of help prep them. So, and then we do that too. And the instructor does that. So there's all these, this combined effort to really help build up that confidence and really help people be able to move into that next step in their career, which is such a sustainable, I mean, it's amazing, just start to a pretty crazy, amazing path, like career pathway. So.
Yeah. Terry was asking if you work with community colleges.
Yeah. One of my colleagues in Illinois, I think, has done some work, but I guess maybe that's something I would Need more follow-up questions on that?
Yeah, I know some of your folks like are big in our area too, and I can't remember if they work with our community college or not, but I know that's pretty big. Hey, listen, we're down to less than 2 minutes, and I have about 100 more questions for you. But before we do that, is there anything that you wanted to share with the audience about what you do or who you are or anything like that?
Well, I guess, I would love, and I don't know who's out there in the audience listening, but, if you are new and kind of considering IT as a career, definitely check out CompTIATech.org. And I think that probably might be posted.
It is. It's on the screen.
Because we do have info sessions which are longer. But then if you're an employer out there too who wants to know more about it and potentially engage with us, we're all over the US. I'm just the West Coast person. But there's me in every region. So we love to connect with employers because they're really what make this successful. So that's about it. It was
I'm
fun.
glad you said that, Amy, because I know CompTIA because my folks get their certifications through there. I did not know about the tech part about this. So you've taught me like something, and I'm going to check that out. So like not only for our listeners that are looking to get into the fields and such, but for, like you said, the people that work for companies that do hiring and such, that was a great connection. So real quick, 30 seconds, got to ask you this question. What makes a good technologist?
Whew. I think we talked about it a little bit, before. I think some of the things we were talking about when it comes to, people who like to help, people who are lifelong learners, like who are constantly wanting to learn, who are curious, who, good problem solvers. You could be from any walk of life, but if you, possess some of those basic skills and just that curiosity and that passion to learn and that passion for technology and that passion for helping people, I think that's, to me, I think that's what makes a good technologist.
I just wanted to hear you say that anybody, it's not just IT. People have been doing this for 30 years. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, believe it or not, we are at the end of our show. It goes quick. We had a lot to talk about. Quick. So Amy, first and foremost, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to share this information with us. And I hope that people reach out to you and your organization, because I know I will be now that I know about this. For everybody else out there, tune in every week. Next week, we're going to have a guest. Our guest will be Jill Weber. She's going to be talking about getting fit for your career. So, and that's all I'm going to tell you. That's the teaser. So you got to be back next week. And remember to follow us on Twitch and YouTube and #HDI Local. Thank you very much.